Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the psychology of female friendships, female relationships. And so I would like pulled up some videos on YouTube because I said, okay, when I was reading, but not even halfway through, I was like, this is what I want to focus on, or this is one of the only serious topics we should focus on. Because it's interesting. Nothing has changed in the last 25 years since this book was written. I mean, I think maybe things are worse. I can't speak to it. I don't have a kid in middle school yet or high school, but I hear the stories and because we have social media and whatnot. But I think in some ways, well, in lots of ways, things are the same. I think we are going toward more now feminism and girl power in this day and age. So I'm hoping that a lot of young women, a lot of girls kind of get on that train and stop treating other girls as competition because we're not. Because honestly, I really feel like the issue is men. I think we need to decenter men because I do think that a lot of what these girls are concerned about and fight about has to do with boys and how they're seen and how they're perceived by the cute guys, the hot guys, and that's where the competition stems from. I mean, yeah, you do have there's the jealousies where, oh, she's going to get valedictorian and I'm not. But I personally feel like a lot of it has to do with centering males. I think if we would teach our girls to do that less, I think that they might not have as hard of a time. And even with the internet bullying and stuff like that, I don't know. I mean, y'all can speak up, but the one video we watched, I'll link below. I think the young woman who did it, she's either a therapist now or she's a psychology student, but she was referencing this academic paper that was written, and I'll just read just the beginning of it. I will link it below. It's on researchgate.net. And some of the points she was talking about really hit home. It's called, what is it? Our grandmother's legacy, challenges faced by female ancestors leave traces in modern women's same-sex relationships. And it's from the Archives of Sexual Behavior, from the official publication of the International Academy of Research. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that much on YouTube, so I might have to mute some of those so we don't get banned, we don't get this video pulled. But so basically, the abstract, the intro is, investigations of women's same relationships present a paradoxical pattern, with women generally disliking competition yet also exhibiting signs of intrasexual rivalry. The current article leverages the historical challenges faced by female ancestors to understand modern women's same-sex relationships. Across history, women were largely denied independent access to resources, often depending on male partners provisioning to support themselves and their children. Same-sex peers thus become women's primary romantic rivals in competing to attract and retain relationships with the limited partners able and willing to invest. Modern women show signs of this competition, disliking and aggressing against those who threaten their romantic prospects, targeting especially physically attractive and sexually uninhibited peers. However, women also rely on one another for aid, information, and support. As most social groups were patrilocal across history, upon marriage, women left their families to reside with their husbands and their husbands' families. Female ancestors likely used reciprocal altruism or mutualism to facilitate cooperative relationships with nearby, unrelated women. To sustain these mutually beneficial cooperative exchange relationships, women may avoid competitive and status-striving peers, instead preferring kind, humble, and loyal allies. Ancestral women who managed to simultaneously compete for romantic partners while forming cooperative female friendships would have been especially successful. Women may therefore have developed strategies to achieve both competitive and cooperative goals, such as guising their intrasexual competition as pro-sociality or vulnerability. These historical challenges make sense of the seemingly paradoxical pattern of female aversion to competition, relational aggression, and valuation of loyal friends, offering insight into possible opportunities for intervention. So, I mean, the paper is super long. It's actually pretty fascinating. I read parts of it, but TLDR. So basically, again, back in the day, women had to marry to get anything, right? Because otherwise they would have to live at home off of their parents, their aging parents who, probably the father wasn't working the farm anymore because women couldn't have jobs. Women couldn't make their own money. So they had to either rely on their father, their brothers, if the father passed away, the brothers took the inheritance, which they weren't guaranteed any of that, the women, or then they had to find husbands. So it was a competition to find the best husband in terms of being taken care of and having your kids taken care of. So, you have that. Yet women have relied on each other for not only friendship, but again, information sharing, like midwifery, just I'm kind of tired, so I forgot everything I was going to say. But you know what I mean? Like we really relied on each other, yet kind of in a way had to compete with each other to get security and to get safety. But I think too, it's that we've always had security and safety within each other to a point. Now, especially more so nowadays, because we can earn our own money, right? We don't have to rely on our parents or sibling brothers or being married. But also, what still stuck around with that was kind of talking about was we women see other women who are, good looking, who are a little more actually uninhibited. We see them as threats because we see them as, oh, they're going to do better than me on the dating scene, or they're going to steal my boyfriend, husband, whatever. And we're talking about straight relationships here. I don't know. I can't speak to how it is within female relationships and friendships in same female relationships. But anyway, so you have those women who were like aggressively anti-girlfriends because, oh, other women are competition and I don't play that. Or then you have the women that are or that use gossip as manipulation as a way to like hurt another woman's reputation. And even in so fact that like using it as acting like you're so concerned for them, you're turning things around, you're manipulating it, so you're causing other women to look down or think poorly of another woman, but you also don't look like the bad guy because you're prefacing it as, oh, you're concerned for this woman because she's doing X, Y, and Z, or she was seen doing this, or you heard that she was doing this. You are smearing her reputation on purpose. You're a wolf in like lamb's clothing, and it talks about that as well, the paper. I know I'm kind of going on and on, but it's really interesting because I mean, that went on when I was younger, and the whole cool girls and popularity and competition. I don't think we really had, I mean, we had people that were a little more like popular, but we didn't have cliques. We didn't have, so I was very fortunate. Now, middle school, I do remember there were like the popular girls and things, but I didn't mess with them and they didn't mess with me. It wasn't like it was on, these TVs and these sitcoms and things like that. But I do know that we do have a lot of these issues nowadays. I think that they're made worse with social media because you can have this faceless internet bullying. Someone can create an account, a random account without their name or face attached to it and hurt another person, like slander them, spread lies and things like that. But again, like I was saying before, I think nowadays there's a lot more focus on women like being more independent, relying less on men, because again, we can get our own jobs and mortgages and credit cards. And therefore, that we need to lean on each other and not rely on men, not make things a competition because of men when it comes to same straight relationships. And again, like decentering men. I think I'm hoping that becomes more prevalent, not just in the States. I do know that whole concept of decentering men is a pretty left-leaning concept. I don't think that young women raised in homes that are more traditional conservative, here, at least I'm just speaking of the States, they're probably not going to get that kind of exposure to that ideology because a lot of folks that are still in that conservative, especially religious kind of set, they still are in the whole like believing in, patriarchy, the men's the provider, the man makes the decisions, the more, what is like the trad wife. And some of those people are actually glorifying the whole trad wife thing now. So I'm kind of rambling. Anyway, it's interesting because I feel like we're getting there as a society, except now the conservatives are rebelling against us more progressives that are trying to preach this like, women for women kind of thing. We don't need men. We don't not need men, but you know what I mean? We don't need men like we used to. And I feel like there's a rebellion now on the other side where they're going totally the other way and saying, no, traditional marriage, trad wife, what the man says goes. Again, I think fanning the flames for some of that like female competition with, and I can't completely speak to it because I'm not in that other subset, but That's my TED Talk. Read the paper. It's really interesting. It's kinda long, but and then I'll post the young woman's video, like I said, because I think she does a good job of a couple minutes of summing up a lot of the topics that I was a little bit verbose about, but you know me, I love talking about, like, feminism and misandry.
No, honestly speaking, like, I'm so glad to be a product of my generation. I need to give due credit to the fact that I was in a family setup where I had really strong maternal figures who understood, like, they did not have corporate jobs. They did not work in the outside world. They were homemakers, but they were strong maternal figures in the sense that they had agency in a large part of decision making. And I think because I saw that and I admired that, combined with the fact that you need a certain sense of confidence as well to not see other people as a threat. So it's like fixing your own insecurity. So I think just like by some self reflection and by like having strong maternal figures, it's very easy to understand how like important it is to place equity on female friendships. And for me, like, I don't know, my best friends can only be women. Or like someone who identifies as a woman, or I don't know, has like feminine leaning qualities despite gender, or despite, I need that kind of energy, which I think it nourishes my soul in ways more than even romantic relationships.
Yep.
And I'm glad to be a product of my generation because, yes, as a millennial, and especially as like a later millennial, the whole, girl boss, you fix each other's crowns, you don't step on each other. I know I lean towards it, but it also, like, this information came to me easily as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad that I've like passed the red pill phase that's kind of like going on right now. But I feel if there can be one of me and say one of you, and our female friendship has resulted in this super collaborative, creative project like our pod, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there can be one of you, one of me. There can be like, I think, billions of us.
Yeah, exactly, and you're right, I'm very glad that we are living in this day and age, and as much as I'm afraid for my daughter, like, getting when she finally gets a cell phone at some point, not necessarily at 13, she's over there. She goes, "When I get my cell phone when I'm 13," I'm like, Who told you you're getting a cell phone at 13?" Anyway, I yeah, dad told you. So, I am worried because of the social media things, but I am very happy that she is growing up in this time, and with me, her mom having these views, and because we talk about these things a lot, there are some shows that we watch where I point out, like, female friendships and like, "Hey, that girl shouldn't have done that. That wasn't very nice of her as a friend. They should forget this guy." So I try to point out good examples of good females, women lifting each other up. I guess I shouldn't say female either, because when we talk about women supporting women, we need to use the word women, because and I get it, because we are excluding trans women,
Hmm.
because when we say female,
Yes,
we're talking about gender versus, so is one thing. You are
it's
whatever you're born,
biology.
but
Yeah,
right, but
that's
gender
biology.
is,
It's sociology.
but I feel like if you have enough guts to want to, and I'm not sure if I'll keep this in the thing, but if you have enough guts to want to go from being a, a male, seen as male presenting, yes, of course, white men have it the best. If you're a male presenting across the board, you have an easier time in life. If you have enough guts to go from, that to wanting to be your true self and being comfortable with enough with saying, okay, I feel like I'm a woman. I want to present as a woman, because we have it so much harder and dealing with all the bullshit that we deal with. That's having bigger balls than saying, no, I'm going to stay as male presenting because I'm afraid, but having that like cojones to want to be one of the, I know the lesser, I think is just so brave. And because again, with being women, we come with a whole mess of issues and problems, like this whole friendship thing and centering men. Anyway, sorry. Soapbox.